Welcome to my channel. I'm Valerie with 5P Designs. Today I have two treasures to upcycle. These were from my neighbor. They didn't know what to do with them. They were going to throw them away, and then they remembered that I like to fix things up, so they gave them to me. So I'm pretty excited about it. This one is just a really nice solid chair. I think it'll look really nice with a new coat of paint. And this one was a table made by one of my neighbor's relatives, and I'm going to turn around. And it was made in 1966 in October. I don't know if you can see it there. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm not going to paint over that part because I like keeping those little bits of history. So handmade, wood bottom, and this is some kind of like laminate top. So I think what I'm going to do is leave the wood part as is. I'll see for sure once I clean it up, and definitely going to paint over this top part. Still not certain what color I'm going to be painting this chair, so the first thing I'm going to do with both pieces is give them a good clean because they're full of cobwebs and other fun treasures. So I will be using Fusion's TSP to clean them. I only have a little bit left, so I hope it's enough. I'm just trying to use up what I have. So I'm going to get set up to give these a good scrub, and then we'll decide what color paint they will be. So stay tuned. Little table, I decided to condition the wood frame on the bottom with hemp oil because it's dry, so that'll help with that problem. And then the top I'll give a coat of DIY paint in White Swan, most likely 2 to 3 coats rather, and then I'm going to pick a stencil to just jazz it up a little bit. For our lovely wooden chair, I will be using leftover paint from the dresser I did a couple weeks ago. It's in the color Cake Batter. Again, it's DIY paint because I absolutely love it. If you haven't tried it, go ahead and try it. So you can see that something's been splattered on this chair. So I'm just taking sandpaper and smoothing out those parts. I am not sanding the whole chair because you don't need to do that with DIY paint. Plus, this is not a glossy surface on this chair. Okay, just taking a clean dry cloth to apply the hemp oil to that dry wood, and this wood soaked it up really well. Sometimes you'll need to buff off the excess, but I didn't need to do that in this case because the wood was so dry. Then I am taking my white paint and just brushing that over the top where the laminate is. For the parts in the chair where I'm going to stencil and for the top of this table, I'm applying Fusion Minerals Tough Coat. And the reason I'm doing this is because these are light colors and I'm putting a darker stencil on top. And sometimes what happens, especially when you go to seal over the top once you've stenciled, it'll smudge into your white color and look really messy. So I like to give it a top coat first and then let that dry, then apply my stencil. That also gives you some wiggle room if you happen to mess up your stencil. If you act quickly, you can wipe away what you've applied and then start over rather than having to start completely over by painting your piece again. You'll just have to wipe off what you've stenciled on and start over from there. It just saves you some headache in the future if you do happen to mess up your stencil. Our table is going to be stenciled in, I believe it's called Linen Stripes by Chalk Couture. If I'm wrong, I'll fix that in the description box below. This is just a mat to take off some of the sticky from the stencil, and these are reusable. So you see me removing that from the backing, save that to put it back on for storage, taking off that sticky and then lining it up on my table. You'll see I have a squeegee when I go to apply the paint. Again, I'm using DIY paint for this. And the squeegee just spreads it out nice and smoothly. You want a thin coat for this, nothing too heavy. Now for the chair, I am using Chalk Couture once again and DIY paint. Big surprise, right? And remember how I told you that applying Tough Coat before, or any top coat, before you stencil can save the day? It definitely saved the day for this chair, and you'll see why in just a little bit. Now the top part turned out just fine. Just wait until I do that second part. Now usually Chalk Couture products are flawless. You take them off and it's just perfect. In this case, I didn't push it down hard enough on that front part of the chair, and I knew this would be a little tricky because just the chair wasn't, you know, completely flat and it had some divots in it. So that's where I went wrong, but I acted really quickly and wiped off that front section, and honestly, I like it a little bit better than what I had originally planned. Now you'll notice I smudged a tiny little part in this table, but it's an easy fix. I'm just taking a little paintbrush and the white paint and just kind of going over that area to clean it up a little bit. Easy peasy fix. Though I'm going to apply wax to the chair, I'm still spraying these with a spray paint. It's just clear non-yellowing by Rust-Oleum, and the reason I'm doing that is sometimes when I apply wax I end up smudging my stencil. I see other people do it all the time and it doesn't happen, but I just thought that it would be a nice little safety precaution to spray that real quick, and it really did help a lot. So that's just a little tip you can do if you also have trouble with that. So the chair has a coat of clear wax on, and you'll see that it looks really splotchy and kind of scary right now. That'll happen with wax. What you want to do is let it sit until it evens out. I'm going to leave this sit probably overnight, and once it evens out, you're going to take a lint-free cloth and buff it out. So this one's just going to sit. The table, I've put some clear wax along the edge. This one I'm not going to let sit so long. I'll probably buff that out in about 5 minutes, and then it'll look the way I want it to look, hopefully. So again, this one's just going to sit. All these splotches should settle out, and then we'll add some white wax to the parts where I think it needs it.